Good evening, good evening. This is Lynette, and this is the 21st Century Watchman's Channel. And it's about time. It's about time is a 1 year chronological Bible study where we go through the Bible in chronological order. And we're now in the book of Nehemiah, chapters 11 through 13. We're going to finish this book up today, and we're going to see how it goes, right? Let's get started, shall we? So they're moving back to this uninhabited city. You see how it looks. They were moving back. It's great. They finally built that wall around it because the wall protects all of the areas inside this city. And people were not as excited about moving back to a city because that represents war. They probably have bad memories. It's harder for you to be captured in the um, in the outskirts, like in the suburbs, if you will. This is the urban area where people come to try to take over a city and take over an area, and they probably didn't want any parts of that anymore. And then it was probably pretty dusty here because they were rebuilding it, all of that. And people weren't about that. They wanted to be in little remote parts where they weren't going to be carried off into captivity anymore, probably a little shell shocked. Just throwing it out there as the reason why this city was still uninhabited. Throwing it out there. All right. Now the leaders of the people lived in Jerusalem, but the rest of the people cast lots to bring one person out of 10 to live in Jerusalem. Remember, lots were casted sometimes to find God's will, when there was a tie to break, when there was uncertainty, and there was going to be affecting a whole group. They cast lots, and that was their way of doing it. It was done by the people around them, along with them as well. So throwing it out there. So it says, but the rest of the people cast lots to bring one out of 10 to live in Jerusalem, the holy city, while 9 tenths remained in the other cities. And the people blessed all the men who volunteered to live in Jerusalem. These are the heads of the provinces who lived in Jerusalem. But in the cities of Judah, everyone lived on his property in their cities. The Israelites, the priests, the Levites, the temple servants, and the descendants of Solomon's servants, they also lived there. Some of the sons of Judah and some of the sons of Benjamin lived in Jerusalem. From the sons of Judah, Athiah, the sons of Uzziah, the sons of Zechariah, the sons of Amariah, the sons of Shephatiah, the sons of Mahalalel, the sons of Perez, the sons of Masiiah, the sons of Baruch, the son of Kolhose, the son of Hazaiah, the son of Adaiah, the son of Joarib, the son of Zechariah, the son of Shilonite. All the sons of Perez who lived in Jerusalem were 468 able men. It's a lot of men. These are the sons of Benjamin: Salu, the son of Meshullam, the son of Joed, the son of Pedaiah, the son of Kolaiah, the son of Masiiah, the son of Ithiel, the son of Jeshaiah, and after him Gabai and Salai, 928. Joel, the son of Zichri, was their overseer, and Judah, the son of Hasanuah, was second in command of the city. Of the priests, Jedaiah, the son of Joarib, Joachim, Seraiah, the son of Hilkiah, the son of Meshullam, the son of Zadok, the son of Marioth, the son of Ahitub, the leader of the house of God, and their brothers, who did the work of the house, 822. And Adaiah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Pelaliah, the son of Amzai, the son of Zechariah, the son of Pashur, the son of Malchijah, and his brothers, heads of fathers' households, 242. And Amashai is Amashai, the son of Azarel, the son of Azai, the son of Meshillemoth, the son of Immer, and their brothers, brave men, 128. Their overseer was Zabdiel, the son of Haggedolam, one of the great men. Now the Levite, Shemaiah, the son of Hashub, the son of Azrikam, the son of Hashabiah, the son of Bunai, the son of Shabbathai, and Josabad, from the leaders of the Levites, who were in charge of the outside work of the house of God. Mattaniah, the son of Micah, the son of Zabdi, the son of Asaph, who was the leader to begin the thanksgiving in prayer, and Bakbukiah, the second among his brothers, and Abda, the son of Shammua, the son of Galal, the son of Jeduthun. All the Levites in the holy city totaled 284. The gatekeepers, Akub, Talmon, and their kinsmen who kept watch at the gates totaled 172. Somebody's got to keep watch. There have to be watchmen. They have to be 21st century watchmen, too. Just saying. Now the rest of Israel, the priests and the Levites, were in all the cities of Judah, each on his own inheritance. But the temple servants were living in Ophel. Zihah and Gishpa were in charge of the temple servants. The overseer of the Levites in Jerusalem was Uzziah, the son of Bani, the son of Hashabiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micah, from Asaph's sons, who were the singers in regard to the work of the house of God. For there was a command from the Persian king regarding the singers as to their daily task. He was making sure people, there was a command for people to sing every day. That's how they gave thanks to their God. And the fact that he gave them their city back and gave them their opportunity to go and live in their city is a huge thing. God used a Gentile king to take care of this business and to restore them back to their former selves, to give them help in doing that. At least the outer part, the governmental portion of it, the spiritual portion, and their own ethical codes were going to be handled by God and themselves. But this part was being given to them by this Gentile king. God used a Gentile king to handle this business. Still moving on. Pethahiah, the son of Meshezabel, of the sons of Zerah, the son of Judah, was the king's representative in all matters concerning the people. As for the villages with their fields, some sons of Judah lived in Kiriath Arba and its towns, Dibon and its towns, and Jekabzeel and its villages, in Jeshua, in Moladah, in Beth Pelet, in Hazar Shual, and in Beersheba and its towns, in Ziklag, and in Mechanah and its towns, and in Rimmon, in Zorah, and in Jarmuth, Zanoah, Adullam, and their villages, Lachish and its fields, and Azekah and its towns. So they camped from Beersheba as far as the Hinnom Valley. The sons of Benjamin also lived from Geba onward at Michmash, Aijah, Bethel, and its towns, at Anathoth. And if you recall, Anathoth was spoken of in Jeremiah 32, verses 6 through 9, where the Lord told him to have his kinsman Hanamel to let him buy a field or some land at Anathoth. Just want to throw that out there. That refers us back there. And even, listen, he was doing this as they were going into exile. And so they owned some land there. At least Jeremiah did. And he was able to give, I'm sure, to his own descendants. And this was done before the exile. And now we're some, decades later. And here we are, just throwing that out there. At Anathoth, Nob, Ananiah, Hazar, Ramah, Gitaim, Hadid, Zabon, Nebalat, Lad, Ono, and the valley of the craftsmen, and certain divisions of the Levites in Judah belonged to Benjamin. That's chapter 12. We're on it now. Now these are the priests and Levites who came up with Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and with Jeshua, Seraiah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Maluk, Hattush, Shechaniah, Rahum, Meremoth, Iddo, Ginnathoi, Abijah, Mijamin, Nadiah, Bilgah, Shemaiah, Joarib, Jedaiah, Salu, Amok, Hilkiah, and Jedaiah. These were the heads of the priests and their kinsmen in the days of Jeshua. Now their people that say, why would they read up all these names? I want you to think about something. If your name was in this book or one of your kinsmen was in this book, wouldn't you want that to be said? Wouldn't you want this to be read at this time or at any time and people remember who you belong to? This is a wonderful thing to have said of you. And by the way, this also lets us know that God keeps a record. And somewhere our names are being read because it says our names are written in the book of life. And so, having said that, somebody somewhere in the heavens has seen our names somewhere. So, even though it may not discuss the exploits of what their dash meant from not from me 1963 to whatever time the Lord decides to call me home, there's somebody that knows that I lived and or that and when my time comes and my name's going to be somewhere, and so here we are, and then my kids will be able to see when they get up there my name in the book of life. This is okay with it. So these names, oh, it's just too many names. When your name is written in that book, you're going to want your name up there, and you're going to want somebody to read your name off too. So let's spend some time, shall we, on this? The Levites were Jeshua, Benui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, and Mattaniah, who was in charge of the songs of thanksgiving and praise, he and his brothers. Also, Bakbukiah and Unai, their brothers, stood opposite them in their divisions of servants. Now Jeshua became the father of Joachim, and Joachim of Eliashib, Eliashib of Joiada, and Joiada became the father of Jonathan, and Jonathan of Jaddua. And in the days of Joachim, the priests, the heads of fathers' households, were Seraiah, Miriah of Jeremiah, of Hananiah, of Ezra, Meshullam of Amariah, Johanan of Malukai, Jonathan of Shebaniah, Joseph of Harim, Adnah of Meraoth, Hilkai of Iddu, Zechariah of Ginnethon, of Meshullam of Abijah, Zichri of Miniamin, and of Moadiah, Piltai, of Bilgah, Shammua, of Shemaiah, Jehonathan, of Jorib, Mattaniah, of Jedaiah, Uzai, of Sarah, Kala, of Amok, Eber, of Hilkiah, Hashabiah, of Jedaiah, and Nethanel. We're still going. It's a lot, but it's worth it. As for the chief, well, this is the chief Levites. As for the Levites in the days of Eliashib, Joiada, Johanan, and Jaddua, the heads of fathers' households, were registered. So were the priests during the reign of Darius the Persian. These were people that were registered and had lineage. Because some people were serving that weren't supposed to be doing it. And so they're trying to make sure that they're calling out the names of the people that were registered, that had papers that they belonged, or that they could trace their lines back. However, the appropriate manner was being done at that time. The sons of Levi, heads of fathers' households, were recorded in the book of the Chronicles until the days of Johanan, the sons of Elisha. The heads of the Levites were Hashabiah, Sherebiah, and Jeshua, the son of Kadmiel, and their brothers opposite them to praise and to give thanks, as commanded by David, the man of God. Division in response to division. Mattaniah, Bakbukiah, Obadiah, Meshullam, Talmon, Akub were gatekeepers, keeping watch at the storehouses of the gates. These men served in the days of Joachim, the son of Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and in the days of Nehemiah the governor, and Ezra the priest and scribe. So remember, Ezra was a priest and scribe, and he was concerned about the holiness of this group, and Nehemiah was concerned about getting the city back together. He was the political guy. He was the governor. He was the one running about how this was going to be run according to what his king had given him to do. And he's becoming a cupbearer. Although that was a high position, you wouldn't think of it as being something that was politically minded. But just like with Joseph, who was the keeper of the king's house, and then he moved from that to the second in command in the prisons. More wasn't Joseph was the king, keeper of one of the I would say Governor Potiphar's house, whatever Potiphar's position was, excuse me, at the time, but a high official's house. He went from that to, after having that problem with Potiphar's wife and her falsely accusing him, he went to the prison and he stayed there for a number of years, and he became second in command to the people. I mean, the man that was in charge of the prison, and then he became the second in command to. He used to be in second in command, wasn't he? Used to running stuff, so I guess he had gotten those administrative skills. But he went from that to running a country, and so here we are. This is what our boy Nehemiah has very similar skills, according to what his king has seen and has given him power to go and take care of what's going on in Jerusalem and making sure that they are rebuilt as they were supposed to have been. Still moving on. Now at the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, they sought out the Levites from all their places in order to bring them to Jerusalem to celebrate the dedication with gladness, with hymns of thanksgiving, and with songs to the accompaniment of cymbals, harps, and lyres. So the sons of the singers gathered together from the district around Jerusalem. So they had to go and get them, bring them into Jerusalem, because everybody wasn't living there. That's why they cast lots. And so now we're bringing them back into the city of Jerusalem, where to the temple, and to dedicate this wall. We've got our city secure now. The wall represented protection. The wall represented security, because nobody wanted to live in that city without there being some protection. And now we had 172 people basically watching that wall. Somebody was on watch on a regular basis. There are 8 watches in a 24-hour period, 3 hours at a time. We're, in our second watch about right now. And so, having said that, who's on the wall in your city? Who's on the wall in your house? Who's on the wall? There should be somebody on the wall watching. We should be on the wall. We should have a watch as well. It's our responsibility. Men ought to always pray. We should be watching and praying. That's the word. Just saying. All right, still going on. So the sons of the singers gathered together from the district around Jerusalem and from the villages of Netophathites, of the Netophathites. And they're here in this little area down here in Netopha. And then so we have that, and we have all the little cities are here. Down here, Gilgal is here, and quite a few of them are here. And just wanted to make sure that we're understanding and how this is playing out. We have all of these interesting places here, and it's important that we kind of get a sense of where they were. And that's the reason why we have the map on the nice little slide here, making sure that we can sort of get the gist of what's going on. How about that? All right, from Beth Gilgal and from the fields of Geba and Asmaveth, for the singers had built villages for themselves around Jerusalem. They hadn't gone into Jerusalem per se, because again, it was a city. It didn't have walls, and they didn't want to move in there for threat of thieves and people saying things to them, because they were being attacked. Remember when they were trying to build a wall in the first place, and the Ammonites had come against them and stirred some stuff up and gotten the king, prior to Artaxerxes, to stop the rebuilding of the walls. Here we are again, throwing that out there. Just a little fear, I'm sure. I'm a little, concerned about building this wall, or since there might be some problems. But now we got the wall built, maybe y'all should be able. Can we move back in? I don't know if I really want to move back there. You know how it was. They might change their mind. All kinds of things probably going through their minds as to why the city was still going to be in, or was being inhabited. But the leaders cast lots, and they were moving in because they had to have faith that God was going to protect them. If He gave them an opportunity, again, then they had to believe that he was going to protect them. Just saying. The priests and the Levites purified themselves. They also purified the people, the gates, and the walls. Purification had to happen. Are we ready to be purified? Are we willing to pray and to ask God to set us apart in order for us to get the things that He has for us? Are we willing to do the work? They were, apparently. So here we go. Then I had the leaders of Judah come up on the wall, and I appointed 2 large Thanksgiving choirs. Choirs just for Thanksgiving. It's not like the ones that are going to happen on a Thursday, in November. These are people that are dedicated to Thanksgiving, and we should be dedicated like this. And the priests were the ones that were singing. And we're a royal priesthood, and so when we're up there singing, or we're in the congregation singing, we should be really doing it with zeal. It shouldn't be rote. It shouldn't be. It should be something we're excited about. And this is what's going on here. It says the first one proceeding on the right, on top of the wall toward the refuse gate, which is crazy in and of itself, the names they had for these things, but they had one. Hoshaiah and half of the leaders of Judah followed them, with Azariah, Ezra, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, and Jeremiah, and some of the priests' sons with trumpets, and Zechariah, the son of Jonathan, the son of Shemaiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micah, the son of Zakur, the son of Asaph, and his brothers Shemaiah, Azarel, Melalai, Gilalai, Mai, Nethanel, Judah, Hanani, with the musical instruments of David, the man of God. But David was a musician as well. He played for Saul. He used to calm him down. And Ezra the scribe went in front of them. At the fountain gate, they went directly up the steps of the city of David, by the stairway of the wall above David's house to the water gate on the east. So many different gates, right? The second choir went to the left. There was a first choir and there was a second choir. And I followed with half of the people on the wall. So one side went with Ezra's group, and the other side went with Nehemiah's group. This is wonderful. I followed with half of the people on the wall, above the tower of the furnaces to the broad wall, and above the gate of Ephraim, and by the old gate, by the fish gate, by the tower of Hananel, and the tower of the 100, as far as the sheep gate, and they stopped at the gate of the guard. Then the 2 choirs stood in the house of God, so did I, and half of the officials with me, and the priests Eliakim, Maaseiah, Miniamin, Micaiah, Elionai, Zechariah, Hanani with trumpets, and Maaseiah, Shemaiah, Eleazar, Uzai, Jehohanan, Malchijah, Elam, and Ezer, and the singers sang with Jezreiah, as their leader. Also on that day they offered great sacrifices and rejoiced because God had given them great joy. The women and children also rejoiced, so that the joy of Jerusalem was heard from far away. That's how it should be when we're singing in churches on Sunday. The joy of the Lord should be heard from far away. It shouldn't be just in our ears. We should shake our cities. We should at least shake our neighborhoods that our churches are planted in. Our joy should be just that loud, because He's our God and He's done such great things for us. These are just my thoughts. So here's how this is looking. So we have the fish gate here. We'll start at the Ephraim gate. See all this stuff that they're talking about so we have the fish gate, the old gate, the Tower of Mia. They didn't discuss that, but the Tower of Hanalel, excuse me. There's the, let me see, things that we talked about. So I don't want to go through all the gates, because it's Ophel where people were staying. Some of the priests were staying. But these were all the fountain gate, the dung gate, or the refuse gate, the valley gate. These are all the things. And here's the temple and the altar. But these are all the tower of the furnaces, all the different places. So this is when he was governor of Judah under Artaxerxes of Persia, and he built this during the wall during this time, and this is what was going on. This whole area had walls. So when we think about a wall, we think about just one little place, one little area. He had to set people up all the way around to fortify this entire area, and all the cities, and I mean all the little places were within this area with the wall built all around. Remember that. So it was a big deal because it was a big job. Just throwing it out there. Still going. On that day, men were appointed over the chambers for the stores, the contributions, the first fruits, and the tithes, to gather into them from the fields of the cities the portions required by the law for the priests and the Levites. So he had people that were in charge of what was going on in that storehouses. For Judah rejoiced over the priests and Levites who served. They were excited about having their priests back and people in place. We take our priests, we take our pastors for granted, and we shouldn't. I'm not saying that we have to worship them or anything like that, but those positions are really important. Although we are also a royal priesthood and we shouldn't take our positions for granted either, it's important that we understand the people that are dedicated to serving the Lord all the time, that's their job, not just their calling, but their job, because we're all called to serve the Lord. But there's a job that they have as well, and they've dedicated to doing this. We should be helping them and rejoicing that they're in those positions to do the will of God in that way and serving God's people, which we are included in. Still going on, verse 45. And they performed the worship of their God and the service of purification. So did the singers and gatekeepers, as David and his son Solomon had commanded. For in the days of David and Asaph in ancient times, there were leaders of singers, songs of praise, and hymns of thanksgiving to God. So in the days of Zerubbabel and later of Nehemiah, all Israel would give the daily portions for the singers and the gatekeepers, and they set apart the consecrated portion for the Levites, and the Levites set apart the consecrated portion for the sons of Aaron. So the singers got money, and they had food, and they had stuff to provide for them, because this was their job, to be giving thanks to the Lord every day. Every day. We don't want, a lot of times, we want a phone in service. We'll watch it on TV, or we'll watch it on YouTube, or watch it on somewhere online. And we don't want to really get involved. And that was great for a time when we're in the pandemic, but it's really important that we get into service as much as we can. These are just my thoughts. Nehemiah 13, here we go. We're getting ready to close this book out. On that day, they read aloud from the book of Moses so that the people could hear its words. And it was found written that no Ammonite or Moabite could ever enter the assembly of God, because they did not meet the Israelites with bread and water, but hired Balaam against them to curse them. Yet our God turned the curse into a blessing. When the Jews heard the law, they separated from Israel all who were of foreign descent, because the foreign women, of course, had caused, we've read it before, had caused Solomon to sin. And that's why they were against intermarrying. Ezra brought that up in his book. And so here's Nehemiah bringing this up again. This was read aloud, that this could not happen. And this started off in Deuteronomy 23:3. An Ammonite or Moabite, is what the law says, shall not enter the assembly of the Lord. None of their descendants, even to the 10th generation, shall ever enter the assembly of the Lord, because they did not meet you with bread and water on the road as you came out of Egypt, and because they hired against you Balaam the son of Beor from Pethor of Mesopotamia to curse you. That's just the word. Because he did that, they hired a person. He was a prophet, but he was an evil prophet, a prophet for hire, and he was supposed to put a curse on them. He wasn't able to do it because the Lord didn't allow him, but he was hired and he tried, and that's why God was not for the Ammonites, because he was trying to curse the people. They were told not to hurt the Ammonites, but these people were trying to hurt them all the time. What in the world, right? What in the world? Here we go. Now, prior to this, Eliashib, the priest who was appointed over the chambers of the house of our God and was related Tobiah, our adversary, Tobiah, remember Tobiah back in Nehemiah 2? I'm going to read about him, had prepared for Tobiah a large room where previously they had put the grain offerings, the frankincense, the utensils, and the tithes of grain, new wine, and olive oil, which were given by commandment for the Levites, the singers, and gatekeepers, and the contributions for the priests. So the storehouses. Remember, they just have to making sure they appointed people in that area. Nehemiah made sure that this was going to be something that they did regularly. And here we understand now why he had to do this, because he heard about what they did with Tobiah. So let me go back to what Tobiah's situation was. But when Sanballat, this is back in Nehemiah 2, the Horonite, and Tobiah the servant, the Ammonite, and Geshem the Arabian heard it, they laughed us to scorn, and despised us, and said, What is this thing that ye do? Will ye rebel against the king? Then answered I them, and said unto them, The God of heaven, he will prosper us. Therefore we his servants will arise and build. But ye have no portion, nor right, nor memorial in Jerusalem. And here this man was living inside the temple, in the storehouse. Eliashib had allowed that. Nehemiah was not having it anymore. But during all this time, I was not at Jerusalem, nor for in the 32nd year of Artaxerxes, king of Babylon, I went to the king. Then after some time, I asked for a leave from the king, and I came to Jerusalem. Then I discovered the evil thing that Eliashib had done for Tobiah by preparing a room for him in the courtyards of the house of God. It was very displeasing to me. So I threw all of Tobiah's household furnishings out of the room. You see where it had to go? So it had to go? Then I gave an order, and they cleaned the rooms, and I put back the utensils of the house of God with the grain offerings and the frankincense. Tobiah can't be living here. He was the same one that was giving me problems back when we first started this rebuilding. And Elisha, is letting him live here? What in the world? I also discovered that the portions due to the Levites had not been given to them. Oh, so they wasn't even giving the Levites any money. Probably being influenced by outsiders or just being disobedient, because they were good for that. They were slipping again. God went through all this, taught them these lessons during this exile, and here we out here not giving the Levites their portion, nor the singers. So that the Levites and the singers who did the work had gone away, each one back to his own field. They couldn't afford to be there. They had to take jobs. They had to go back and feed their families. This was not okay. Then I reprimanded the officials and said, Why is the house of God neglected? So I gathered the Levites and singers together and restored them at their posts. Then all Judah brought the tithe of the grain, the new wine, and the oil to the storehouses. I appointed as treasurers over the storehouses Shelemiah the priest, Zadok the scribe, and Pedaiah of the Levites. Assisting them was Hanan, son of Zakur, the son of Mattaniah, for they were considered faithful and reliable, and their task was to distribute to their brothers. Oh my God, remember me concerning this, and do not wipe out my loyal deeds and kindnesses, which I have done for the house of my God and for its services. Lord, please don't get me involved in this with their foolishness. Whatever they didn't do, don't remember me. Because sometimes you just got to stop and say, Lord, don't forget me. I'm trying out here in these streets. That's basically what he's saying. In those days, I saw some in Judah who were treading wine presses on the Sabbath and bringing in sheaves or sacks of grain and loading them on donkeys, as well as wine, grapes, figs, and all kinds of loaves, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. So I protested and warned them on the day they sold the produce. Also, men of Tyre were living there who brought fish and all kinds of merchandise, and they were selling them to the people of Judah on the Sabbath, even in Jerusalem. They weren't just outside the city, they were selling them inside the city. Then I reprimanded the nobles of Judah and said to them, What is this evil thing that you are doing, profaning the Sabbath day? Did your fathers not do the same? And did our God not bring all this trouble on us and on this city? We were in captivity for 70 years. Are y'all not understanding? What we got to do here? Yet you are adding to the wrath on Israel by profaning the Sabbath? What is up? You're adding on to our situation. God was mad at us for all this time, and he forgave us and gave us some time to get this stuff together. We delayed in rebuilding this wall and taking care of his business and rebuilding his temple and his city. And this is what you're doing? You out here in the streets doing even worse dirt? Come on, bruh. Now, when it began to get dark at the gates of Jerusalem before the Sabbath began, I commanded that the doors be shut and not be opened until after the Sabbath. Then I stationed some of my servants at the gates so that no load of merchandise would enter Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. So once or twice the merchants and sellers of every kind of merchandise spent the night outside of Jerusalem. But I warned them, saying, "Why do you spend the night by the wall? If you do so again, I will use force against you." He wasn't playing. From that time on, they did not come on the Sabbath. And I commanded the Levites to purify themselves and come and guard the gates to keep the Sabbath day holy. Sometimes you got to take a stance. And this is what's going on here. Oh my God, remember me concerning this also, and have compassion on me according to the greatness of your loving kindness. Lord, remember me. This is the second time. He's like, I don't want nothing to do with this. Remember me. I'm trying out here. These people are doing some stuff. I'm sorry. In those days, I also saw Jews who had married women from Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. Not the Ammonites and the Moabites. As for their children, half spoke in the language of Ashdod, and none of them knew how to speak Hebrew, the language of Judah, but only the language of his own people. So I contended with them and cursed them and struck some of them and pulled out their hair and made them swear. And so that was disgracing them and made them swear by God, saying, "You shall not give your daughters to their sons in marriage, nor take any of their daughters for your sons or for yourselves." Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin regarding these things? Yet, he's the reason why they split up in the first place. Yet among the many nations there was no king like him. He was loved by his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, the foreign women caused even him to sin by turning to other gods, and so, judged by God, he lost his kingdom. Real talk. Do we then hear about you that you have done also all this great evil, acting unfaithfully against our God by marrying foreign women? One of the sons of Joiada, the son of Eliashib, the high priest, was a son-in-law of Sanballat the Horonite. So I chased him away from me. Yeah, Sanballat. Remember, we had that problem after reading about what happened with him in Nehemiah 2. Same thing. He was the buddy of Tobiah. So here we are. Oh my God, remember them, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and the Levites. Thus I cleansed and purified them from everything foreign, and I defined the duties of the priests and Levites, each one in his task. And I provided for the wood offering at appointed times and for the first fruits. Oh my God, please remember me for good. That's what he's saying. Please remember me for good. Bottom line. Oh my God. We've learned a lot in this time of Nehemiah. Dedicated man in the service, and the Lord used a cupbearer who was close to the king because he was putting his life on the line, because the cupbearer had to eat and drink whatever the king was supposed to have. He had to taste it first so that he could see if he was going to kill him. He put his life like a bodyguard in another kind of way, because people were trying to kill the king on a regular basis, and he took that on first. And he had been the king's cupbearer for quite a few years, and they had a relationship. And the king allowed him, because of his loyal service, to go help his people to rebuild and to have a place of their own. And then we got to see how Nehemiah moved from that to helping to clean this whole town up and rebuild this wall, and to restore the kingdom to its former glory, and then having to cleanse the people and talk and help Ezra with the spiritual healing of them as well. They need to be spiritually cleansed. He had to put the order in and make it legal, if you will. And Ezra was appealing to their spiritual side and their conscience, where he was like, he was regulating it. This is what's got to happen. He had to get some stuff done, and he was putting people out, and Ezra wasn't doing it like that. We have Nehemiah that's going to do it like this. This is the law, and we're going to have the singers in place. We're going to do what is supposed to be done. He put all the systems in place because sometimes systemic change is needed in order for us to be able to act right and and for us to feel free. And we've been bound so long, and we're used to it, and sometimes it has to be regulated in order for it to happen. And so he was the regulator, and we appreciate him. But I would like to stop and say, are there any Tobiahs in our temple? These our bodies are the temple of the Lord. Do we have any Tobiahs in our bodies? Do we have anything that's holding us back from being clean? Do we have anything that's pagan in our life that needs to be cleansed out? That's where we are. And if you do, I would invite you to repent with me and say this prayer. And if you need salvation, if you and you've been plagued with different Tobiahs, whether they be, sexual sin, whether they be cheating, or whether they be lying, whether it be lying, what stealing, whatever it is, what is your Tobiah? We some of us have more than one, but I'd invite you. If you have more than one and you might need salvation, let's go for it. If you have one or two and you need to repent because you keep on slipping and Tobiah keeps on re-entering, let's pray a prayer of repentance. Let's go, shall we? Father, it is written in your word that if I confess with my mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in my heart that you have raised him from the dead, I shall be saved. Therefore, Father, I confess that Jesus is my Lord. Make him Lord of my life right now. I believe in my heart that you raised Jesus from the dead, and I renounce my past life with Satan and to close the door to any of his devices. I thank you for forgiving me of all my sin. Jesus is my Lord, and I am a new creation. Old things have passed away, and all things become new. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. If you have said this prayer with me, put your name in the chat, and we will rejoice with you. And if you have said this prayer with me and you have no church home, I ask you to put your name and your city and your state in the chat, and we will help you find a church home in your area, as we have members all over the country. We want you to get directed to a church home that will love on you and help cultivate the gifts God has put in you so that you can live out your purpose in him. Finally, do me a favor if you don't mind. Like and subscribe to this channel and share this nice little video and let people know that Jesus lives and that we are going through this word every day, and that we want to make sure that they know the word and that they have something to hold on to. Thank you. Have a great rest of your evening. Remember, it's about time.